Gemma from Concrete Gems Crochet, and today I want to show you how to make this lovely hexagon cardi. This is the Sunlace Cardigan, and it is a beautiful cardigan. It's got this lovely open take on the granny stitch for the stitches, so it's got chain on spaces for some extra air, and it feels nice and lightweight. As you can see, it's a, well, as I said, it's a hexagon cardi, so it's constructed as a hexagon. We start in the armpit and we work around making the hexagon shape. We then fold it, and it folds like this, so you'll have like this shape, this kind of L shape. Then we add some more rows to make it fit, before adding some edging and some cuffs at the end. This is a made to measure pattern, which means that you will be making it to fit you. You'll be holding it up against yourself and measuring to see what size you would like it. So that means that you can customize the length, you can customize the width, you can customize the neckline, the cuffs and everything. There is also the option to make it into a sweater, which I have done with this one. So for this one, I just added a simple single crochet neckline around the opening. You'll see we've got some neckline shaping here as well. And I did the same cuffs and the same bottom as I did for the cardigan. This is a cropped length, but you can also make any length that you might like by following the same technique. So let's dive in, shall we? I'm using Paintbox yarn Simply Aran and a 6mm hook, which will make it nice and loose. So this is 100% acrylic, and you get 201 yards for every 100 grams. And I'm using colour SA74, which I cannot remember what it's called, but it's this lovely blue. So let's get started. This is a made to measure pattern, so we are going to be making it to fit our own bodies. If you're making it for someone else, you probably need them to be close by so you can measure them. We're going to start with a slip knot on our hook, and we're going to chain 4. Now I usually use a magic ring, but it didn't work so well for this pattern, so I would suggest chaining 4 and then slip stitching into the first chain to join. Okay, so this is well, it's my take on the granny stitch hexy cardigan, but it's slightly different. So we're going to start and we're going to do a stacked double crochet into the ring. So insert your hook into the ring, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2 to make a single crochet. Then we're going into the side, and I've recently discovered going through both of the side loops works quite well. Yarn over and pull up a loop, and yarn over, pull through 2. So that has created a stacked double crochet, but it replaces a double crochet. Then we're going to chain 1, and we're going to do a double crochet into the chain. And this is my, instead of normally with granny stitch you do 3 double crochets, I'm doing a chain 1 space in between to create some air, to make it lightweight and airy because it's summer. So then we chain 1 and we just repeat that. So we do a double crochet, a chain 1, double crochet, and that's our second group. So we're going to create 6 altogether, which is basically 12 double crochet chain 1s. So we just carry on doing that all the way around. Obviously, if you're using UK terms, this is a treble crochet. And you'll see why I needed to do a chain 4 instead of a magic ring, because it's getting quite tight now. How many have we got? 1, 2, 3, 4 and a half, 5, and this is the last one. So I'm just doing a double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, chain 1. Okay, so that's the last one, and I'm going to now chain 1 and then I'm going to join to my stacked double crochet to start. So how I like to see it is I like to look at that double crochet, that's the top of that stitch, that's my chain, and that's my stacked one. So I go into there with a slip stitch, and then we're going to turn, okay, and then we're going to carry on working into this chain space here, this chain one space, okay, and we're going to start creating our corners now for our hexagon. So we're going to do another stacked double crochet through the side, and then we're going to chain one and another double crochet into that same space. Then we're going to chain two, and this is creating our corner, and we're going to go again in this same space with another double crochet, a chain one, a double crochet, and a chain one. Okay, and we're going to repeat that all the way around. So in every space we're going to end up with this two sets of these granny clusters with the chain one space in the middle. Okay, so I'm going into my next, so I'm skipping two, so you always skip a cluster as it were. It's kind of like a V-stitch. Well, it is a V-stitch, but instead of working into the chain one space in the V, we're working into the space between the V's. I thought that when I thought I'd invented something exciting, but then I realized it was just a V-stitch. But we're using it differently, so it still counts. Still my own design. Okay, so in each of these these corner spaces, we're going to do a DC, chain one, DC, then chain two for the corner, then DC, chain one, DC, chain one, and then we move to the next space, and we're just going to carry on that all the way around. So when you get to the end, you'll see it looks like this. So you've got like groups, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 groups, which is perfect because it's a hexagon. And I've done that final chain one there, and we're just going to slip stitch into that first stitch to join as we did before. And then we are going to turn again. And we're going to carry on in a similar fashion now. So we're going to be doing these two groups of clusters into the chain two spaces, and then where you've got chain one space between the clusters, like this one, so not here but this one, we then are going to work our DC, chain one, DC, chain one. Okay, so start with a stacked double crochet again. Oops, and get through the side. Split the stitch now as well. Hey, hey. There we go, good start. Chain one, DC, chain one, okay? So that's all that goes in there, and then we've got to this corner chain two space, and in here we're going to do DC, chain one, DC, chain two, DC, chain one, DC, chain one, and then we've got a middle space. So in the middle space we do DC, chain one, DC, dear, that's a weird bit of yarn there, chain one, and then we get to our corner again. So we're going with our same, our DC chain one, DC chain two, DC chain one, DC chain one. Okay, and that is it. Okay, we're going to keep repeating that all the way around this round, and then slip stitch to join at the end as we've done before and turn, And we're just going to carry on like that. So when we move on to the next row, you'll see that you've got 2 spaces between that aren't corners. So you just do your DC chain 1, DC chain 1 in there, those 2 spaces, and then in the chain 2 corners you do your DC chain 1, DC chain 2, DC chain 1, DC chain 1. Okay, and you're going to carry on that and keep repeating, keep adding rounds and rounds and rounds until it fits over your arm, and I will show you what that looks like now. So after you've done quite a few more rounds, you're going to end up with a funny shape like this. So it's going to be a hexagon, so you've still got 6 sides, but it's not going to lie flat in any way. And what we're going to do now is we're going to fold it and we're going to try it on to see if it's the right size. So take one of your edges like this and fold that edge in half, okay, like that. And then you're just going to line up all the rest of your edges, and miraculously it will make this kind of L shape. Okay, so we're going to then try that on to see if it fits. So along one edge you need to take a few stitch markers. You probably want 3. I mean, you can try this without putting the stitch markers through to see if it's the right size, but it is easier with the stitch markers. So just pop them on to this top edge, whichever edge that you decide that you want to be your sleeve. So this is going to be the top of your sleeve. This is like your body, and that's your arm sticking out there. It'll make sense in a minute. Okay, so let us now try it on. Okay, so you're going to very carefully put your arm through where your stitch markers are along the top. That's going to be the top of your sleeve. And you're going to hold it here, and you're going to see if the fit over the shoulders. Just hold it to make sure it fits and make sure it goes around your armpit, and that's the most important bit. It doesn't matter about how close it is to your neck or anything at the moment, because we're going to add some more rows here. So just see if that fits, and for me I think that's about perfect. So then we can move on to adding the some more rows here to create a neckline. We're going to create a slightly curved neckline here, and a few more rows to make it into a cardigan, and I'll also show you how to make it into a jumper as well. So we're going to rejoin our yarn at the top corner of our shoulder. So this is the top of the arm where the stitch markers are, and I'm going to join it here. And you want to join it so that the last row you worked, so that you're working the opposite way. Okay, so this was the row that we worked before, and you can see from the stitches that they're pointing towards you a little bit at the top. So that's right side facing now. So we want to work on the other side. Okay, so we're going to join in our top corner where we had our stitch marker on the wrong side of our stitches from the previous row, and we're going to join in here. Just do a chain to join it, and then we're going to work a couple more rows to make the shoulders longer. And now if you feel that your piece already touches your shoulder, like where you want the top of the neckline to go, then you don't need to add these rows, okay, and you can start on the decreases to create the neckline, which I will show you next. But otherwise, what we're going to do is we're going to do a stacked double crochet as we've been doing into that corner, and then we're going to chain 1, and then we're going to start our stitch repeat in this next chain 1 space. Okay, so you just do 1 stacked double crochet and a chain 1 in that first corner space, and then we carry on with our stitch pattern. Okay, and we're just going to work that all the way down and around. So what you'll end up doing is you'll go down here around this opening and back up, and you'll get back to the stitch marker. And when you get into that space, we're just going to do another single double crochet stitch. Okay, just one double crochet stitch into that chain space. So I'll see you there. So I've got back to the stitch marker now, where I started on the other side. So on this side, I just need to do a final double crochet into that corner chain 2 space, and that's one row. And then we're going to turn, oops, and we're going to work the second row. Now the second row, to keep it the same size, we need to work a full granny split stitch into this chain 1 space here. Okay, so we're going to do our stacked double crochet first, a chain 1, and then another double crochet into that same space. Okay, and you can see that that keeps the height of the row the same size, and that is what we need to keep repeating if we want to keep the row the same size, which I'm going to do for one more row. So I've got 2 rows where I've increased the length of the shoulder, and also it will have increased the length of the body of the cardigan and made the front and the back bigger as well. And then when you're happy that that's the it's up to your shoulder, kind of almost at your neck, and your shoulder's wide enough and it fits you lovely, then you need to start decreasing for the neckline. Now I decreased on the back and the front of the neckline, but it is up to you how you do it, and I will show you how to do a decrease now once I have finished this row. Right, I'm back to the start now, and that was my double crochet from the first row. So to finish off this row, I need to do a final double crochet, chain 1, double crochet into that final space. Okay, and that then maintains the same height of the row. Right, so I've done those 2 rows, and now it is sitting nicely at my neckline, at my collarbone kind of thing, and I want to bring it down around my neck. So on the back, what I want to do is I want to decrease by 1 row, and on the front I want to decrease over about 3 or 4 rows. Okay, and this is completely up to you how many rows you decrease again to make it fit for you. So let us turn our work, and some rows you're going to be on the back, for example, you're going to be keeping the same height, and some rows you're going to be increasing. So it's as before for maintaining the same height, apart from so for example, if for this row we were maintaining the same height, we would need to do a double crochet into this very first stitch like we did into the corner space, but it would have to go into the first stitch now. So I would do a stacked double crochet here, and then I would chain 1 and then work into the next space, and that would maintain the height of the row. Okay, and then the next row you would do your 2 into the end. So you would alternate starting with a 1 or starting with a 2 to maintain the height of the row. But I want to start, oh, pulled one out too far. I want to start decreasing now, and you need to also decide which is the back and the front. So if this is my back, to decrease I am going to slip stitch along. Now this differs quite a bit each row, so I'm going to slip stitch now so that I don't work into that first stitch. Okay, and I'm going to slip stitch into this next chain space, and this is where I'm going to start now making my stacked double crochet in here, and chain 1 and a double crochet, and that will start decreasing. You can see we've kind of missed one. Okay, and then you can carry on like that around. When you get to the next row, you won't have a space to go into, so you will need to do slip stitch again, or you can do just a single DC and then start in the next space. It's up to you how you want to decrease it. We can tidy up any bumps and lumps when we do the neckline anyway. Okay, so I'm just going to start going along this row now where I've decreased by 1 on the back. Right, so I've got back to the end now, and this is on the front, so I'm going to work into this space, but I'm not going to work into the last stitch, so that is now decreasing. Okay, and you don't need that chain 1 on the end either. So then we turn. Okay, so I finished my front of my edging for my neckline now, and you can see that the front of the sweater cardigan comes down, whereas the back goes down 1 and then stays the same height. Okay, so I think hopefully you can see how I've done that just by missing that first one each time and moving it down. This one I've just done rather than doing 2 stitches into that stitch, I've done 1 and moved it down. So so you can do your neckline however you like. You can carry on, you can make it wider, but I think that's big enough for me at the moment. So the next thing is to try it on and see what you think. So just slip it on and see how you feel that neckline lies, remembering that those 2 extra rows will come up tighter, so you could put another stitch marker in there to hold that, and then see that comes round nicely round your neck there. Okay, and if you're happy with how far across it comes as well, so you want it to come about to the middle. If you're going to turn it into a sweater, you definitely want it to come to the middle. But if it doesn't come to the middle, that's fine, because we add some extra rows at the back, and we can add extra rows at the front as well if you need it. But we're just checking that neckline, that you're happy with that for the moment, which I think I am. So now what we're going to do is we're going to seam this arm seam. Okay, so seam the arm, the top of the shoulder seam. We're going to turn our piece the wrong way around, so just carefully do that with your stitch markers still in place, and we're going to start at the sleeve end. Okay, and we're going to pop our hook through that chain, so the first chain that you have, okay, on each side. Go through the one that's nearest to you on the first panel and furthest from you on the last panel. Now I'm using a slip stitch theme, I can't say it, going through the back loops, well, the front loop on this panel and the back loop on this, so the outer loops only, but you can do your seam however you like. I really like this seam. It comes out nice and flat like this with a little line. So that's what it will look like when you've done it, if you do it the way I do it. But you can do it however you like. You can sew it as well with a mattress seam or whatever you like. Okay, so I'm just attaching my yarn there with a chain 1, and then I'm going to start my slip stitches. Okay, so I'm going through the outer one and then the outer one. So the one nearest me and the one furthest away, yarn over and pull through all of them. Okay, and we want to make sure we work into the chains as well as the actual stitches. Okay, so we're going into each chain and then each double crochet. I think I've missed one already. Where's my chain gone? Maybe I haven't got a chain. There we go. Okay, so just keep working across like that. Keep it nice and loose so you don't pucker up your seam. And I'll see you when you get to the other end. When you get to the end, you'll have 2 rows that look a bit different, because obviously you'll be working into the sides of these rows, because these are the 2 additional rows that we added, or however many rows you added. But just keep working the same as far as you can, grabbing the nearest stitch to you and the furthest away stitch to you, and then pulling through a slip stitch. Okay, until you get to where it starts to dip down for the neckline. And you should work about 2 stitches per double crochet across there. Okay, so that's my end now. You can do an extra stitch just around the corner just to secure it, or into those end chains, just to make sure it's properly secure, and then fasten that off. Oh, sorry, loud scissors. Okay, so that is your seam, shoulder seam. So we're just going to turn that right way round again, and lay it out, and then you need to make your other half. So you need to make the other side exactly the same, which I have here. So if it lines up nicely, you've got your neckline in the middle, however wide you need that to be, adding the right number of rows, etc, etc. So what we're going to do now is we are going to join it together at the back with stitch markers, and then we're going to try that on and see where we are and how many extra rows we need in the middle at the back to get the right width for our body. Okay, so I've just joined it together at the back with stitch markers, and I'm going to just carefully try it on now. Just excuse all the ends. Just be very gentle that you don't pull the stitch markers apart when you're trying it on. Ooh. There we go. Quite like that. So I don't think I need any more spacing at all. Got the thread. You can see there how it's joined. Obviously it'll be slightly tighter, so you need to work out for yourself whether you need any more rows down this middle. And if you do, you're just going to add them in exactly the same way by joining in that first space there. And if you've got 2 on the end, like this row, then you'll do a 1. And if you've got 1 on the end, then you'll do 2 into that, into that first space. Okay, so if you've got a 1, a 2 like that, you do a 1 in the first stitch. If you've got a 2, you do a 1, just like we did before, and then add the same number of rows on each side until it fits. And then we can do the exact same seam down here before we are ready to add some cuffs and edging. I started adding a cuff onto this sleeve end, and we need some edging around the middle. And you could also, if you wanted to, you could also make it into a sweater, so you would then seam the front as well. Once I've done my back, and my sleeve cuffs, then I will show you what that looks like as well. Okay, so to do the sleeve cuffs, what we're going to do is we're going to join into this sleeve. I like to join in the bottom, but you can join wherever you like, it doesn't really matter. Join with a chain 1, and then we're going to do single crochet 2 together all the way around to join to tighten up the cuff a little bit. So you go into your first stitch, yarn over and pull through, then into the next stitch, yarn over, pull through, and then pull through all 3 loops on your hook. Okay, so we're working into the chain and into the double crochet, into both of them, to create our single crochet 2 together, and that will just really tighten up the sleeve cuff. Okay, and then we're going to work a front post back post ribbing. You can just leave it at the single crochet, or you can do another round of single crochet afterwards if you prefer. It's entirely up to you, or you can leave it with no edging at all. That also works. So just carry on doing single crochet 2 together into every stitch and chain as you work around. So I'm working into the actual chain rather than in the chain space for this, because I think it gives a neater finish. Okay, so I'll see you when you've done that, and I'll show you how to do the rest of the ribbing. Okay, so once you get back to the beginning, just join with a slip stitch into your first single crochet. Now ideally you'll have an even number of stitches here, but if you don't, that's completely fine. We can add in an extra one as we go round. It's fairly flexible. Okay, so what you're going to do is we're going to work a front post double crochet into and a back post double crochet into the alternating single crochets. So we're going to start with a chain 2, then we're going to yarn over, we're going to insert our hook into the space between that single crochet, and then underneath, yarn over and grab a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And then in the next stitch, we're going to go the other way. So we're going to start at the back, come forward, go around and back to the back, grab the yarn and pull it through all the way back, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And you see that that's sitting at the back now. And then we carry on like that. So we do a front post one, and then a back post one. Ooh, and then a front post, and a back post. And just keep going like that all the way around. Okay, so I've got back to the beginning, and you can see that I've got, that's my chain 2, that's my first front post, and I've just finished on a back post. So, I've just finished on a front post as well. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to do a back post one around where the chain 2 is, to keep the pattern going, okay? And then we are going to slip stitch to join in the top of that front post. So then we're going to just carry on repeating that for as long as we want, basically. So chain 2 again, and then do your front post around the front post, and you do a back post around the back post, and that carries the ribbing on further up. And you can do that for as long as you want. Obviously this cardigan's kind of elbow length at the moment. You could do a really long ribbing down to your wrists, or you could do a just a short one, a couple of rows. I'll probably do 3 rows, I think, rounds I should say, to finish it off nicely. But this is completely up to you. So just carry on going around in the same way, working a front post into the front post and a back post into the back post. And you end up with a ribbing like this. And then we're nearly finished. We've just got a little edging around the front of the cardie to do and the bottom edging, and that will be it then. Okay, so I have seamed my back seam now using that same slip stitch that we talked about, so it looks like that. So the seam's obviously on the inside here, which you can see like that. And then I have done cuffs around, so I did 3 rounds as I said I would. I've got some ends to sew in there. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to just try it on and show you. So there we go, you can see that nice neck shaping around there. So the decision now is whether to make it into a sweater or keep it as a cardigan. As you can see on mine, it's a little bit baggy around the back, so if I'm going to make it into a cardigan, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a cuff edging just exactly the same as this around the bottom edge, and then do a edging around all the way around the neck that's just so you know when you normally do single crochet 2 together, just do single crochets in each one so that stays nice and straight. And the other option, of course, is to turn it into a sweater. So I'm just going to pin that now so we can see what that looks like. Okay, so there we go. I put stitch markers in down the front and you can see how it would look as a sweater, and I quite like that really. So I think I might do that. So for that, I'm just going to literally seam up here. Then I'm going to add a collar with just doing a single crochet in, well actually you'll be working into some row ends, so you would do two single crochet into here, 1 in there, and then keep going around, so it was a nice not too tight collar. And then I would do the bottom as I mentioned before with your single crochet 2 together, exactly like the cuffs. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do. Work out what you want to do with yours. If you want to add some more length, you can go ahead and do that now, so you can carry on the stitch pattern, join it at the back somewhere, and just do a few turned rounds of the stitch pattern around the bottom to make it longer. But I think I'm going to stick with the cropped one. I don't normally wear cropped, but it's quite nice like that really. So there you have it. I'm just going to go ahead and finish all of those adjustments that I've talked about. Had the collar on, the seam and the bottom, and then I'll come back and show you. Okay, so there you have it. So I have seamed now down the front and the back seamed, and it's a lovely, lovely sweater, which I am absolutely loving. So I have done just a single crochet around the edging here just to finish off the edging nicely, but I didn't do a rib because it was quite a high neck as it was. If you want a more of the V-neck, just don't seam up as high as I have done there. And then on the bottom I have got the ribbing border where I did single crochet 2 together. And then the other option, I will just show you, is the cardigan. So this is how we started. So I finished off the cardigan as well. I'll just pop on and show you the ribbing for that. So as before, as with the sweater, I did the bottom edging with single crochet 2 together all the way around first, and then the front post, back post, and then so that started at the bottom of the cardigan, and I worked that all the way around first, and then I chained 1 and turned, and then I worked single crochets, not 2 together, just straight, so that it didn't, so if you did 2 together it would pull it up like this. So I just did straight single crochets all the way around the neck, and then I did the front post, back post stitch to create the ribbing for the front. And that's the cardigan, and I think you'll agree that that's quite lovely too. I quite like them both. So what do you reckon? Are you going to make one? Well, I really hope you will by the time we've got to this point in the video. So I think that's it really. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you will come and find me, Concrete Gems Crochet, on socials and share your own hexy cardigans. If you want to get the written pattern with all of the photos and explanations and everything, which makes it a lot easier to follow along with the video, then there is a button below to subscribe to my mailing list, and if you're on my mailing list you get the pattern absolutely free, the ad-free premium pattern version, so go and grab that now. Thanks for watching everyone. I'll see you again soon for another crochet pattern with Concrete Gems Crochet. Bye for now.